We have finally finished off this raised garden bed and we've planted our tomatoes. Just in the last few days, we have put in 5 new raised garden beds into our suburban backyard. Some of them were super easy and took no time at all and were a lot smaller. Some of them, like this, were a little bit more labor intensive. I'm going to show you all the different options for garden beds that might work in your suburban backyards, and then I'm going to show you exactly how to do them. What are you making? Rainbow. Wow. So let's start with this one. As you've seen in my last 2 garden updates, this has been sitting here ready for some TLC for quite some time. The first thing we did was built this frame, and when I say we, that was my father-in-law who came and helped with that. He then put a waterproof layer around the edge just to stop things seeping out, and finally I lay some newspaper just to stop some of those bottom weeds popping through. This required a lot of soil, so we had a huge amount of soil delivered from Fulton's. The soil that we picked is 5-way soil, which is especially good for growing veggies. It cost about $200 to have it all delivered. In reality, we probably ordered twice as much as we actually needed. So you can see I've got some big stakes in there ready for these tomatoes to grow big and strong. And I've also got some basil down the front, because when you're growing tomatoes, you need to grow basil because they taste so amazing together. Before I move on to the next one, thank you so much to everyone who has already subscribed. If you haven't yet, click the subscribe button because there is heaps more exciting content currently being produced, which I'll be uploading shortly. Now, this is another one of my new veggie gardens, which I have made just in the last couple of days, and it was so easy. I've got this one, which is a little bit bigger, and this one, which is a little bit smaller, but both using the exact same material. This edging here, I just found at Bunnings. I picked that up for, from memory, about 20 bucks. Came in a roll. I just hammered it in and then filled it up with some of that excess soil. And here is the other one too. Same again, I've just hammered this in and filled it up with soil. But that's a really easy way of just putting in an instant garden bed. And you know you've got really good, beautiful soil in there without worrying too much about what's happening under here. Now this one behind me is another fabulous option for a raised garden bed. The only thing about the Vegiepod, Vegiepod, is that it's not cheap. These ones cost around $400. That being said, are they worth it? Probably, if you've got money to invest. I was really lucky. I didn't have to pay for this one. Someone was clearing out space and they didn't need it anymore. Lucky me. They are designed so that you don't have to water them very often because they maintain a small amount of water down the bottom. Any excess comes through holes in there. And the best bit about it is that you pull this down and it keeps out all the pests and stops things from getting sunburnt, etc. But here's Trish. You mean take your hand? But this is an amazing option if you don't have a garden at all. If you've got a balcony that could fit on, they are fabulous. But there are much cheaper ways of doing it. What can you see? Also, they've got this really cool system in here where, if you hook a hose up to it, it's like mists, which is really cool, but I don't actually use that function too often. A really good option for lettuce, because my lettuce elsewhere in the garden gets eaten, whereas this is all protected. This is the second easiest garden bed you can possibly make. These we picked up from Bunnings for $29 and just filled them with some good quality potting mix. And again, this sort of thing, you can pick it up from the hardware store today, have it filled today. You only need 1 or 2 bags of soil in there and ready to go. And the best thing about these, they come on wheels. Bees, can you see a bee?
Yeah.
Where?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not a bee. It's a bug. It's a bug, but it looks funny. Anyway, so yes, we've filled 2 of these just in the last couple of days. We've got some chili peppers growing in there. My husband is a very big chili fan, and that is a super easy option that costs $29 plus, what, say 2 bags, 40 bucks if you want to take the easy option, and it's ready to go, ready to plant. Now these are not new, but these are by far the easiest garden beds you are ever going to come across, and perfect if you don't have much space or if you haven't quite decided where the best spot in your house is to grow veggies. So if you're still testing out the light, chuck some soil in some pots, get the good quality soil from your hardware store or nursery, and just start experimenting, because I found these, look at these beautiful tomatoes. We're only a few days into the traditional tomato season, and already there are some flower buds in there that will turn into tomatoes. I've found everything grows really, really happily in here. It's an easy way to keep the pests off, and then as soon as you decide you want to move them somewhere else, you just pick them up and shift them. What's going on here, Trish? Are you trying to climb? Yeah, you just want to sit on my lap. Okay. All right. Sure. Oh, and while I'm here, let me show you. We are getting the very beginnings of some beans in there. How good. And here is an added bonus. This is not my garden bed, but these are an entirely new way of doing it, where you can purchase raised garden beds and fill them in. Also a great option if you've got a spot in your house that gets enough sunlight.
We first do in a bowl and then smash.
Is that a good thing to do, or is that too messy?
Um.
Too messy.